welcome into the Treehouse Football Podcast. If my counting serves me correctly, this would be Treehouse Football Podcast number 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. We're up to 4 now, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah. One said we wouldn't, and here we are. Very proud of it. It was a big weekend for North Texas sports, obviously mainly discussing the Dallas Cowboys shellacking of the vaunted New England Patriots. Turns out, so far into this early season, the Cowboys will either kick the shit out of you or let you kick the shit out of them. So at least there's not a whole lot of middle ground so far this season. It's either or.
There is really only one thing I know for certain at this point in this football season. And that's that Chicago Bears are absolute garbage. I mean, that's really...
Yeah. That right there is one of those, is another one of those hot takes that this here football podcast is known for.
All right, good. Okay, I wasn't me. I'm not the only one that by episode 4 is the only one that's been slow clapped. Yes, thank you.
That was Raj. That was a medium clap.
That was a medium clap. I'll still take it. You're in the middle of you're rushed. You're in the middle of a tropical storm, so that's a slow clap. If it wasn't flooding.
Thank God I'm on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Outside is a small river flowing down the past my driveway. So not only is Philippe kind of a dick because he's French, he's also a dick because he's just sitting around on top of my house out here in the Caribbean. But don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
Yeah. It was interesting, man. It was the first time with this Cowboys game because it was Belichick's largest defeat in history. It's the first time I've ever heard people talking about how his job was in danger because of just how bad they look. And I never thought
people need to stop that. They really do. It is a very rare thing in the NFL, period. Historically, there's only a handful of examples where coaches were able to hang on to their jobs for as long as they wanted them. And it's damn near impossible by today's NFL standards to hang on to your job as a head coach for as long as you want it. Bill Belichick is one of those very few who has earned it. And I'm pretty sure Bob Kraft would agree. It's hard for me to fathom someday Bob Kraft saying, you know what? I'm done with you.
Belichick's girl did it. She's like, I'm done with you. And that now, that's what, that's how it starts. She leaves. And then the team confidence leaves. I don't know what.
He's given it to Bob Kraft far better than he ever did to his girlfriend.
Well, now that's a very strong statement because Bob likes to go to the rub and tugs, and so I don't know.
And maybe the reason why is because he's not getting it good enough from old Belichick. So maybe you're right there, Raj.
That's what I'm saying, man. He's like, hey, man, if you're gonna let me down on the field, you better step it up in here.
Unless if we want to take this metaphor to a really weird place, what if the Super Bowl trophies are the same as the orgasms that he gave his girlfriend? So he gave Bob 3, and maybe she left because she didn't get that many.
Okay. And she's like, you know what? I'm done. And now this season's going in the tank, and Kraft's not getting it. And he's like, hey, man, if we're not getting wins and we're not getting O's,
his favorite Jack Shack got closed down. So
I know.
I mean, they're both kind of in the same boat. They lost their favorite wingman. And they're realizing that Mac's not going to do it. So they'll stay around.
Have they asked him nicely?
I think he was on double secret probation and just failed.
Anyway, let's backtrack. It's good to be a Cowboys fan right now, ish, and it's a bad time to be a Bears fan. I'm not sure who I feel sorrier for right now, Bears fans or Justin Fields personally. But there's nothing we can do about that in this here Treehouse Football Podcast. So let's get back to focusing on what the Cowboys were able to do against the Patriots, which was a visibly distraught Bill Belichick. Did you guys see it? I think they showed it a couple of times where he's just rubbing his face like, "Oh my God, I don't want to be here."
Yeah. I think the difference was from the week before at Arizona was Trayvon Diggs had gone out, and I think the whole team was like, maybe subconsciously or maybe consciously, we're like, you know what, we don't have him there, so are we vulnerable on defense in the defensive backfield? I think when Bland stepped up this week, it was like, okay, we can play as hard as we want to now because we have somebody. I'm not saying he's as good. I mean, that was a great debut for that guy. Phenomenal. I'm not saying he's, excuse me, as good as Trayvon Diggs, but I think they're now confident, like, okay, we got that covered. So we're good. We're good to go. And I think they played like that. Like there was a sigh of relief that they have him back there now. And then they played all out because a 35-point defeat has never happened in the history of Bill Belichick's career.
I think it's important to point out also that after this win, you now have, when you look at who has scored touchdowns for the Cowboys so far this season, you have defensive guys that have more touchdowns than offensive guys, which makes for a fun locker room. And I think what may have happened is you may be circling on something there, Raj, that they lost Trayvon Diggs a few days before the game in Arizona. Maybe that affected them, whether it was game planning or whatever it was, a mental state. Can't really speak to that. That's an inside thing there. They would, of course, say, no, it didn't. But however, when you get an additional week to plan for his absence and those guys behind him get more reps in practice, then maybe that's part of the reason DaRon Bland had such a big game and the defense felt a little more confident. It also helps when, you just kind of play good all the way around and not lay a turd in the middle of the desert.
And I also want to, give credit to Van Der Esch for scoring a touchdown before he gets injured at some point, because he.
Did you have the same thought I did? Because he only had like 7 or 8 yards between when he scooped that ball to get to the end zone, afraid that something would get him in those 7 or 8 yards.
Oh,
yeah, as soon as he crosses the end zone, he starts reaching for his hammy or something.
That was the first thing I thought. Yeah.
I was worried he was going to start doing some celebration dance, and then all of a sudden that hammy was going to pop.
Yeah,
like he goes to do his wolf howl, and he just breaks his entire spine.
Yeah, I was when the ball spiked, I was like, check his shoulder. Somebody check his shoulder. He's out. He's out for the season. He pulled a Martin Gramatica. He celebrated the field goal win and then tore an ACL.
It is an interesting tradition so far. In recent years, the white linebackers of the Cowboys seem to be made of glass between Leighton Vander Esch and Sean Lee. Both very good players. And Sean Lee, if it wasn't for injuries, might be steamrolling into the Ring of Honor, maybe even, a Hall of Fame type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas you get teams like the Steelers where their linebacking core is scary. So there's been a shift from the old linebackers of the Cowboys day, in the Cowboys history, to today, where it's like, man, you just got to keep them in a bubble.
Yeah, I just when your last name is Vander Esch, I'm like who put you up to this? Like who wanted whose dreams are you fulfilling?
Why are you messing with Leighton's last name? To me, his first name was way wimpier.
But then you combine the whole thing, and it's like, he says his name, and something gets torn. Like that's like that's just
he just tears his throat. Hi, I'm Leighton Vander.
And he's out for the season again. I was when I saw him scoop up the ball, I was like, slow down, buddy. Just you're there, you're there. Nobody's behind you. And then he went up, and when he went to spike that ball, I was like, he's going to F something up right now. And then he ran off the field, and he played a great rest of the game. I was like, all right, I'm just waiting for the news to come out. Like, you know what? It was the adrenaline. He didn't realize that he had lost an arm. After the celebration, we saw it on the field. We didn't know whose it was. We picked it up. It's
we assumed it was his, so we kept it. Just put it on ice in the blue tent.
But I mean, how clutch? I mean, how fun is it to watch CeeDee Lamb? Like that is he's just so much fun to watch. And he's
You know what? I'm really glad you brought him up because who I'm actually very finally excited for is Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
And not just because he's coming off that knee injury last year, but because for so much of his career, they've basically just said, all right, you go long. And I've heard before because it wasn't it's like he didn't understand, or he didn't know the playbook or the plays well enough, or he wasn't good at certain routes, so he had to improve on running, all the other routes that are available besides the all right, just go deep. But that for so long seemed like that's all they used him for. Lately, though, they've been using him in space, and he's a physical receiver.
Yeah.
Like CeeDee Lamb is, he's more the speed and shifty guy. Whereas Michael Gallup, he can make you miss, but he also just run your ass over. So I've actually enjoyed them putting the ball in his hands in space and watching him do things with it, as opposed to just, all right, Michael, you just go along.
Yeah, I mean, Gallup is more of a brute force, and then you got CeeDee Lamb, who's like finesse. He's like fun, like he's the fun guy to watch. Like it's like Jerry Rice. Like it was fun to watch Montana and Rice. Like when that ball was in the air, you're like, okay, he's got it. Like unless something bizarre happens, like he would catch things that you don't think you can catch. And CeeDee Lamb reminds me of that, where it's like it's in the air and you're like, he's got it, and then he comes down with it and he just looks around like, what'd y'all think? I wasn't gonna get it. I got it. like that's how he tosses the ball back to the ref. He's like, this is yours. I had it for a second. Like, you know what I mean? And that's it's fun to watch. Overall, they're great, man.
It's a great feeling. I mean, if you had said at the beginning of the year the Cowboys will be off to a 3-1 start, we all would have said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
However, once you learned that one loss was against a winless Arizona team, you're like,
yeah,
I'd rather be 4-0, but I think that's also the life of a Cowboys fan, is you always have higher expectations.
Yeah, but doesn't it? I mean, your two blowout wins were so much fueled by defense. Yeah, I mean, your offense is still so sketchy.
It is something that the Cowboys have to contend with. The fact that the Cowboys defense has a better red zone scoring percentage than the offense does.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll get that figured out.
Yeah, they've got time, and I think for the most part everyone's fairly healthy. So I think it's. Oh well, that was weird. Was that?
Sorry,
was that
getting a phone call.
Okay. Did you see it light up, and then before the full ring happened, you silenced it? That was lightning fast. Cat-like.
I have CeeDee Lamb-like reflexes.
he's piloting the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, I think they're fairly healthy as far as the offense goes, and I think that takes time over week by week, and they've had that time. They've had time to get everybody on that side healthy, and they've got nothing. As far as the debut, seeing that if you play all out like that every week, I think the debut of Deron Bland, I think they can have some confidence and rest kind of easy that they got that side of the game figured out. So.
Yeah, the only downside, though, is not everything on the offensive side is healthy, because Tyron Smith is now injured, which, I mean, I'm not really that surprised. I don't think anyone is, and there's a reason why they've made changes that they have, because they've been planning for him not to, go through a full season. And it's sad when those things happen, but it's also not surprising. As someone that's been left tackle in the league for a long time, I'm surprised he can still walk at all.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting thing, Raj, because you brought up, the old school 49ers, and that leads us into the matchup this week, which is the big test early on in the season. It's, 3-1 Cowboys, undefeated 49ers at San Francisco. And, during the game, they're going to be playing all the old montages from the 90s of the Steve Young 49ers and the Aikman Cowboys going head to head in playoff games and title games. And, the road to the Super Bowl went through those two teams for so many years. Mm-hmm. And now maybe, just maybe, it might happen again instead of in the divisional round where they keep kicking the crap out of us.
Yeah.
Hang on. And all of that in the 90s, you don't think they're going to, you don't think you'll see the catch at least 100 times?
Ugh.
Yes,
It's bad enough as a Cowboys fan to be sick of the catch for the catch's sake, just for what it meant in that one damn game. But the fact that you then have to be subjected to it for the rest of your living life is unnecessary.
Unless they handily win, then they won't show that. Then it'll be like, oh, they've overcome that. Whatever they just optics wise, I don't think they would. But the guy who had the game of the week last week is Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you gotta shut him down completely, and I don't know how you do it. I don't know what the game plan is, but that guy is just the real deal when it comes to San Francisco. I mean, he basically, between him and Brock Purdy, they won. Those two won that game last week for those guys. So if you can shut him down, and I don't care if you have to have 90% of the defense just on that one guy. I don't know what you do. I'm not there calling the plays. I'm not trying to figure out strategy. I'm just saying if somebody's got a club and doesn't mind going to prison, I'm just saying if we can, if we can,
I guess, you could pull a Tanya Harding, or you could call up one of those phone numbers in the back of a magazine somewhere to have someone do it for you, whatever it is.
Yeah, wherever you find hitmen. I don't know how it goes. You guys are white. Where do you find hitmen?
Come on now, that's not fair.
I watch a lot of Investigation Discovery. It's very fair.
I don't know about hitmen, but because of Trey's affection for crazy women, I guarantee you he knows a few hit chicks.
Just tell one of your crazy exes that you now play for San Francisco, and your name is Christian McCaffrey,
and you'll be at this particular location at this particular time, ice skating around. As Trey calls up every single Tanya Harding in his little black book to come get him.
I could actually probably just call Tanya Harding. She's not doing anything. It'd be cheap too.
Yeah, you could probably get her on Cameo. All right, so speaking of going back, Cowboys against 49ers. So the media has been chewing up that storyline all week because of the recent woes the Cowboys have had against the 49ers in the playoffs. So they decided to, instead of let the Cowboys and Dak Prescott enjoy the win over the Patriots at home last week, they decided to then ask Dak in the postgame about the lead up to the 49ers rematch.
Dak, what was the feeling leaving that locker room last January against those guys?
At this point, Dak starts to answer. He looks back down towards the middle of the room, and then he cocks his head back to the right towards that reporter with a face of, "You serious?"
Yeah.
It's not very often you see that killer look from Dak out, off the field, but that's intimidating.
Yeah,
I love it.
I didn't know because I didn't know where it was. Like when he thought about his answer, I'm like, where is this gonna go?
Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, we're so far past that, to be honest with you, but that's obvious. I mean, you just want to piss me off going into this week, and I appreciate that. I do, actually. I do.
So Trey knows from dealing with crazy women.
Yeah.
When they look at you with that look in their eyes and they tell you, "I appreciate you doing this for me." I don't care what you're wearing, what you're not wearing. You do not stop and grab anything. You run.
Run.
Yeah.
You don't stop running, and you do not look back because she'll be there. And if you're this reporter, you don't look back because Dak will be there, apparently.
But that lets you know how well they're doing when that's the only question you can come up with is, well, what about last January? And like, hey, how about we enjoy this moment? How about
also to point out, last January is last January. They're a somewhat different team this year. We're a somewhat different team this year. Although to be fair, the 49ers actually look better right now than they did last January. Which is frightening. Well, let's get back to what Dak had to say about the reporter.
You just want to piss me off going into this week, and I appreciate that. I do, actually. I do. Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Is that lost drive, you guys?
I mean, every day. Every day, Ty, every day.
And then he shifts to the smile and the laugh, like, okay.
Yeah, I've been in situations in my stand-up where I've had, a predominantly black audience, and I've picked on a guy a little too long. I get that, like, oh, it's cool, man, keep going. It's cool, keep going. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't mean keep going. He means stop right damn now before I punch you in your face. And I'm like, oh, man, we're good. I was just kidding, man. We're good. And then the smile happens, like, no, man, you're fine. I'm like, okay, we're good now. Now we're good. He's smiling, and I'm going to move on. And I'll never talk to that person again. And usually they'll come up afterwards and like, that was good, man. I was like, appreciate not murdering me. Thank you. So yeah, I've witnessed that look firsthand. And for that reporter, I'm sure he was just like, please, they're filming this. Like show some. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think he found a little bit of solace in the fact that he was surrounded by people, so there's safety in numbers, and there's also a number of cameras and things, recording devices in general. However, I think you need to be careful when you make fun of a grown NFL player who's wearing a suit from the waist up.
Yeah.
But no longer are suit pants the norm. Now they just wear shorts. They're suit shorts that match the jacket.
Yeah. And that's a confident look.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
because someone's going to say something, or you want somebody to say something about your suit shorts.
That's why it's NFL players that and some NBA players that wear it, because only professional athletes can wear that when everybody goes, oh, that looks good. Deep down, you want to make fun of it. But you're like, what are the odds of them whooping my ass? And you're like, man, it's pretty good. Let's compliment the.
I've actually thought about buying one of those and sending it to Trey.
He just look like one of those like kids from the 1920s outside of a school. That's his yearbook photo from 1926.
No.
Sorry, Trey. I thought it looked like you were about to say something that I couldn't tell if your screen locked up or you did.
I did.
Well, let's hope it's limited to just you and not the Cowboys against the 49ers this week.
Yeah, I don't like. None of us. Let's just be honest. None of us can pull that suit look off. I've seen a few. Like LeBron pulls it off because he's LeBron, and nobody's going to say anything to him.
Look, you can accomplish great things with enough money, and then that includes buying people around you not to tell you how stupid you look.
Yeah, and I just and hats off to the maker of that or the designer of that combination, because they went in like, you know what, someone is going to wear this. Well,
not only that, it's brilliant because they're charging more for less material.
God, that's the most Indian thing you've ever said. Just
call it like I see it.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com. You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You are back in the Treehouse Football Podcast. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trenholm and Raj Sharma. Now that we have covered the Cowboys 49ers very minimally, let's move on to the next big matchup this weekend. I'm speaking, of course, about our very own Trey Trenholm's Longhorns going up against the Sooners of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
This would be one of those great times where if I really wanted to fabricate some conflict inside the Treehouse, I could say, you know what? I was born in Oklahoma. Some people think I've moved back as opposed to living on a Caribbean island. That's not true, but whatever. Most people don't willingly move back to Oklahoma. In fact, I don't think I know anyone that ever has. So if I wanted to, I could say I was born in Oklahoma and I'm a Sooner till I die and F those horns and blah. But I really don't give a damn who wins, except I do love this game because it is one of the all-time great college football matchups every single year. It doesn't typically matter what the rankings are for either team. It's you just have no idea. You throw all expectations, what you think should happen, out the window, and you just sit back and just watch two schools play each other that absolutely hate each other's guts.
Yeah, and it's such a cool visually when you look at the Cotton Bowl and it's half orange, half red, and it's so much fun. And it just has all the earmarkings of just breaking my heart. And that's why I am just a nervous wreck this week. Because anytime, especially, it seems like most years OU has the momentum, and even if we're both ranked and whatever, but this year with Texas has like a little more momentum and they're higher ranked. It's like this is when Texas just usually guts me, and so I'm looking forward to the game. But man, I am so nervous because it has all the everything in the history of Texas just of being just a huge letdown, and I'm gonna be crying.
It's a good thing that it's a good thing that the Cotton Bowl doesn't have a roof, because your anxiety would be going through it.
Yes.
Are you going to the game?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably end up having to work.
Oh, gotcha. I just thought you were that nervous, like you couldn't.
Well, it's not just nerves on his part. If Trey was to actually go to the game and Texas was to let him down in the way that he is so fearful, then there'd be more red in the stands, but not from the OU Crimson.
Yeah. Again, going back to just looking good. UT does. UT looks really, really good. Every game I've watched this year so far, so good, man. They
timeout.
I'm not saying the word. I'm not saying
Raj,
the word. I'm not.
The last time you said they look really good,
yeah,
was about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then like four dudes got hurt, including Trayvon Diggs for the year.
Okay,
so are you putting that your hex on Trey's Longhorns?
No, I'm just saying OU looks really good, and let's just.
He doubled down, Trey.
No. I said OU looks.
Actually,
looks great.
Let him say OU looks great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Fine.
What did you guys think I was talking about? OU looks fantastic, and I think everybody's gonna stay healthy throughout the entire game, and nobody's gonna go down with a massive injury. That's my prediction for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Trey, how do you feel about going to the game now?
Much better.
So at least if you go to the game, right now your expectations are to have a happy corny dog afterwards as opposed to a sad one.
Yeah, I've always, that's why, when out of high school I applied to UT, and I got in. I missed registering for classes by an hour because of the grid. It's so weird to follow, but they don't let you, have to wait till the next semester. So I ended up going to Southwest with the idea of transferring over, just because of like growing up watching UT football and seeing that that pageantry and that rivalry and the team spirit. And then I went to Southwest, and when you're like seeing the stadium is half red and half orange, and I'm like seeing a stadium that's like, the one half has, 4 people in it, and the other half, are
vagrants that wandered in.
Just the homeless from Austin that didn't have anywhere to go. And then
no. It's not they didn't have anywhere else to go. It's because Austin bussed them to you for the weekend, so they wouldn't bother all the Longhorn fans. And I'm curious about this because I've never really been to the Southwest Texas campus, what is now Texas State. But from all the stories I've heard throughout the years, not just from you, Raj, but from anybody that's ever been there or attended school there, it's not that Texas State or Southwest Texas doesn't have its own pageantry and traditions. They're just very different than the ones to its big brother to the north.
Yes, very, very different. Like you guys,
like Longhorns have a long pedigree of successful football and athletics, whereas Southwest Texas has a pedigree of its own chlamydia strain.
Yes, which somebody, a listener actually posted to my page. It was like, you know what, I went to Southwest Texas, and he's like, I was really good at talking to women, and he got chlamydia twice in the same semester. So I think he's in our ring of honor, or in some sort of, or he had ringworm of honor. I don't know what happened, but
it's more of a circle of chlamydia.
Yeah, like I was like, man, you are a legend. We've heard about you on campus, like 2-time chlamydia dude. Yeah, we got you. But like, yeah, but you see all this this great stuff, and now, you know, Texas State is now like, I remember going back the first time years and years and years ago, and seeing like the kids on campus wearing like Texas State shirts, like with because they changed the logo on it, and people were walking around. I'm like, what is this bullshit of school pride? What is happening right now? We do not do this.
What is this thing about going to class?
Yeah, when are you guys graduating? What are you talking about? Let's all just
that is not relax. The point of this university.
There's a river. Let's go float it, and let's reassess. Okay, we need to get our priorities back in line. We have a drive-through beer barn that doesn't even. They don't even. Yeah, I mean, when you have a drive-through that sells booze, like you can get a daiquiri to go. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, we just put tape across the top. I'm like, oh, I love this place.
So, is the drive-through booze barn at Southwest Texas? Was it actually across the street from campus?
100%.
Was it on campus, or was it like in the bookstore?
Yes. There's a bar on campus in the student union. There's a full-on bar, and they had this brilliant idea. It's just when your brain works faster than technology. They had this brilliant idea when they opened it. I think it's called the Lions Den, or the something Den. I don't know what it's called. I think it's the Den, maybe.
I'm pretty sure your mascot's the Bobcats, Rod.
Yeah, so that's the Den, and they had this thing like where you had to scan your ID, and if you had a class within a certain amount of time, it wouldn't allow you to buy a beer. Well, that's cool, and in theory, it's fantastic. They just didn't have the technology to do it. So you had people showing up just rip-roaring wasted to classes. I'm like, now this is what I signed up for. I appreciate this.
I mean,
like, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to mess up.
Fair, there were a fair number of history makers throughout time that were drunk when they did some major things. It's more like Southwest Texas cosplay.
I was like, I'm going to ruin the curve for everybody in this room. Like, I'm so excited.
All right, Trey, do you have a prediction for Texas OU? Which, by the way, if anyone can say Red River rivalry any times fast, you should get a trophy. I hate that name. But they have to be PC because they couldn't call it the Red River Shootout anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Prediction. I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say 45-35 Texas.
Wow. Okay, I dig it.
It's interesting. All that anxiety that you mentioned earlier, you're still going with a 10-point win.
I think be really close, and then Texas will get kind of a trash time touchdown. But
but you'll take it, of course.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, those things sometimes can push you over, so they're important.
Push you. Oh, you mean push the over?
The over, yes.
Oh, so do you have money on this game?
Not yet.
You're going to put money on the game?
Yeah, that's always I'll wake up Saturday, see how I feel. If I for some reason I'm really overconfident, then yes.
Wow. Okay, I dig it, man.
and go ahead, Trey.
It'll probably just like salt in the wound of not only did we lose, but then when I pay my bookie, here.
No, I think the salt in the wound would be when your bookie's wearing a Sooners jersey. And he welcomes you with an open wallet.
And he went to UT.
No, he went to Southwest Texas. All right. Thank you for hanging out with us here in the Treehouse for the Football Podcast. Be sure to follow all things Treehouse. Like, share, follow, subscribe now. We have a Patreon thing you can get linked up to. TreehouseOnAir.com. is the website to find all of those wonderful things. You can also, of course, follow us on social media at Treehouse On Air. For me, it's at the Dan O'Malley. For Trey, at Trey Trindholm 1. If you want to follow his tiers and possible going bankrupt after the game, do that. And then there's Raj, at Comedian Raj. You want to find out more about the STD history of Southwest Texas. See you guys next time in the Treehouse.
See ya.
See ya.